It might not go live until 5 more minutes
and 20 seconds.
Oh, no, it's showing on YouTube.
Okay, well, it says you are viewing the webinar that is not yet live. We go live soon, and I keep clicking refresh, and it keeps saying the webinar will start very soon.
I think I have to, hold on, I'm going into, oh, shoot. I'm hearing you on it. Let me go to live webinar, video embed. That's not what I want to do. Shoot. Let me go to embed. Just give me 1 second. I'm working on
problem.
it. Isaac just told me he was so excited to see Katie here, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. I now have made it live.
Yay!
Did it come live on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see the welcome to put your dream to the test.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to leave it set right here. And
all right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
So you see the welcome to put your dream to the test. Okay, if you're just joining us, we're going to get it started. I can't speak this morning. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. I would brand that, man, big time.
I will. I mean, I'm with 18 college credit hours.
That's a big time value proposition.
I've got one of the Mexican restaurant on Piccadilly. He's going to pass off business cards for me. I believe. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some business cards out there too. That's I like that. Yeah, very good place too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. So,
All right, I'm gonna start this webinar.
all right.
Okay, thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here in about 2 or 3 more minutes. I see people hopping on. If you have a question during the webinar, you should see a question box right there underneath the PowerPoint slide where you can ask a question. This is going to be a great mastermind. We're talking about putting your dream to the test, the 10 questions to help you see it and seize it. This is going to be a great introduction to the upcoming 10-week mastermind that we'll be facilitating. So again, this is Jonathan Dupree. We're going to get it started here in just about 2 minutes. So sit back, enjoy, make sure you have your speakers turned up, and we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Also, for those of you that are hopping on, waiting before we get started, you'll see there on the screen, there are also some links. There's a free gift. If you'd like to get a copy of the workbook for the mastermind, you can click that link. It's right there to the bottom left of the screen where it says thank you gift, and you can get the workbook there. Also, you can get access to my free coaching community by clicking the other link down there if you'd like to be connected with like-minded individuals, and also have access to free coaching resources. And I see people hopping on left and right now, so we're going to get started here in just about 2 minutes. We're going to give everyone time to log in and get on, and we'll start promptly in just about 2 minutes. So again, this is Jonathan Dupree, and we are about to launch the Put Your Dream to the Test Mastermind. Today is an introduction to the mastermind. I'll be sharing with you how a mastermind group works, and then also an intro to what this mastermind is going to be about. It's a 10-week mastermind called Put Your Dream to the Test. And I'd love, in the question box, I'd love for you, before we even begin, this is going to be interactive. So I'd love for you to submit any questions that you've got during the time we're going to be together today. If you've got questions, submit them. Or if you've got thoughts or ideas, you can also submit those as well. I would love to know what your dream is. What would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? Think about that as we go through the mastermind today, and I'd love for you to share that with me as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this, and I still see people hopping on. So just to give you a couple of tips before we will launch into the webinar. Again, if you've got a question, there's a big box right there. Got a question, submit it there. Or even if you just have a thought where it says ask your question, just put your thought. What would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? I'd love to know the answer to that question there, and you can just type it there and submit it. I've got a thank you gift for you, actually 2 gifts for you for attending the introduction to the webinar today. You'll see a box that says thank you gift. There's a link to get your copy of the workbook, Put Your Dream to the Test. There's also some free tools inside of that. Also, you can get access to my free coaching community. If you click the link there, it will connect you with like-minded individuals. There are generic coaching resources and tools there as well. Also links to free calls. And as I create new content and modules, it's all right there for you. So just some great resources for you. So let's talk for a second, set the scene before we dive into the material. In a mastermind, we're going to always start on time. We're going to end on time. There's no exceptions to that. We've got exercises. We might not complete all the exercises throughout the mastermind. We're going to work to do that, but some of it might become homework because I know that your time is valuable. My time is valuable. I don't want to waste your time. I certainly don't want to waste my time. So I'm going to respect that time frame, and we'll always start on time and end on time. The core objective is to make sure that you're all comfortable in this mastermind, you're informed in the process, you're enthusiastic about coming to the next session, that you see the value in it. If you can't see the value in it, then you're not going to learn, improve, and grow from it. My goal would be for this to be interactive, even though it's web-based, that you would interact, use the question box to give feedback, to share back. I want this to be interactive. I'm super excited about this particular mastermind. I selected. I have access to teach numerous John Maxwell courses, and I specifically picked this one because I think that this is one of the most powerful masterminds that John has. It's just I just think it's powerful. When you think about it and you get down to it, most people have a dream, yet they don't know how to move forward and season that dream and taking ownership of that dream. And, so I think it's important that you understand what your dream is and you gain clarity to it, and then you know how to put a plan in place. So I'm just super excited about it. I think it's going to be a great 10 weeks where people gain clarity to what they really want. Again, it's important to know that if you commit to be a part of this mastermind, today's the introduction. If you commit to be a part of this mastermind, that you also make a commitment to contribute, that everyone is invited and encouraged to contribute to the group. If you are a part of the mastermind, in my coaching cloud community, we will have a private group just for this mastermind so that you can connect and share your thoughts and ideas with other people and truly mastermind. I'll also be creating a Anchor. If you're not familiar with the app Anchor, I'll be creating an online Anchor mastermind for us as well so that you can share your thoughts through audio clips and people can respond back, and we'll have a special hashtag. So I'll let you know about that as well. So let's just dive into today's webinar. When you think about a dream and you think about what a dream is, a dream is basically a mental picture, a blueprint of a person's purpose and their potential. That's what a dream is. We all have dreams. Some of us have clarity to those dreams, while some of us don't have clarity to our dreams. But a dream's a picture, a blueprint, of where you're headed, of where you're going. Now, there are certain reasons why people don't identify their dreams. And the 4 common reasons for not identifying your dreams are, number 1, discouragement. See, some people have been discouraged from dreaming by others. And you go, well, what do you mean? How could other people discourage us from accomplishing our dreams? Well, many people have had their dreams knocked right out of them. The world is filled with dream crushers and idea killers. Some people who aren't pursuing any dreams of their own don't like to see other people pursuing their dream. Other people's success makes them feel inadequate or insecure. So you're going to have other people in your world, and here's what's truly discouraging is sometimes it's the people closest to us that discourage us from accomplishing or identifying or reaching our dreams. You know, I had was at church yesterday, and there was a pastor speaking from Australia, and he said, listen, God wants to bless you, and when God starts blessing you, be ready for the haters. That was the word that he used. He said, because people want to pull down other people. I think of another great story that a business professor, Gary Hamel, shared, and he said there was an experiment conducted with a group of monkeys. And 4 monkeys were placed in a room that had a tall pole in the center. And suspended from the top of that pole was a bunch of bananas. And one of the hungry monkeys started to climb the pole to get something to eat. But just as he reached out to grab a banana, he was doused with cold water. Squealing, he scampered down the pole and he abandoned his attempt to feed himself. Each monkey made a similar attempt, and each one was drenched with cold water. After making several attempts, they finally gave up. Then, this is the interesting part, the researchers removed one of the monkeys from the room and replaced him with a new monkey. As the newcomer began to climb the pole, all 3 of the other monkeys grabbed him and pulled him to the ground. After trying to climb the pole several times and being dragged down by the others, he finally gave up and never attempted to climb the pole again. The researchers replaced the original monkeys one by one with new ones, and each time a new monkey was brought in, he would be dragged down by the others before he could reach the bananas. In time, only monkeys who had never received a cold shower were in the room. So they replaced all the original monkeys. The 4 monkeys in there now never had been splashed with water. Yet, if a new monkey would climb the pole to get a banana, the other monkeys prevented them from climbing, and they didn't know why. They didn't know why they shouldn't go get the bananas. So perhaps you've had others drag you down in life. They've discouraged you from dreaming. Maybe they resented the fact that you wanted to move up or do something significant with your life, or maybe they were trying to protect you from the pain of disappointment. Either way, if you've been discouraged from dreaming, take heart. It's never too late to start dreaming again and pursuing your goals, pursuing your dreams. So take a minute and think. I want you to stop. Hopefully you have a pen, something to write with, a pad of paper. And what I'd like for you to do, and I'd love for you to even maybe submit this in the question box if you feel comfortable sharing. And I won't say who's sharing, but if you would share, this would be, I think, fantastic. What discouragement have you experienced by others in your personal life or in your professional life? So think about that for a second. What discouragement have you experienced by others in your personal life or in your professional life? What was the impact? What lessons did you learn? And again, I'd love for you to share in that question box. I think that would be fantastic if you would be open enough to share. And while you're thinking about that question, what discouragement have you experienced by others in your personal or professional life? And what impact did it have? And what did you learn from that? I'll share one of my own. You know, I left an incredible organization, a great organization, to start my own company, a dream that I had had. And, you know, I was discouraged by several of my very best friends that I thought were great friends of mine who, to this day, I have some that still don't even talk to me. And that deeply impacted me. What I learned from that, though, was that sometimes the people that we really feel like are our friends or have our best interests at heart usually don't. And so it's important that we make sure we surround ourselves with people who are going to encourage us to accomplish our dreams, to make sure we surround ourselves with people who believe in us. And sometimes we need the belief of others as we pursue a goal. We pursue something worthy. So that's the first reason that people don't identify their dreams, is from discouragement. The second reason is disappointment. See, some people are hindered by past disappointments and hurts. And disappointment is the gap between exception and reality. So some people just simply are disappointed, and they're hindered by the past and by hurts. And I want you to think of that. Disappointment's the gap that exists between expectation and reality. And all of us have encountered that gap. We've all had bad experiences. We've all had to live with our unfulfilled desires, and we've had our hopes dashed. We've tried something and we've failed. However, John Maxwell says you don't fail. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. But disappointments can be highly damaging to us. You know, Mark Twain said, we should be careful to get out of an experience only the wisdom that is in it, and stop there, lest we be like the cat that sits down on a hot stove lid. She will never sit down on a hot stove lid again, and that is well. But also, she will never sit down on a cold one anymore either. So you got to think about that. I mean, when something goes wrong, we say, well, I'll never do that again. What a mistake, especially when it comes to our dreams. See, failure is the price that we have to pay to achieve success. Some people must face failure repeatedly before moving forward in the pursuit of their dreams. I read a quote once that said, you may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. So remember that and make sure that you don't give up on the fight too soon. So as you think about the second reason that people don't identify their dreams, I'd like for you to describe a significant disappointment in the past. What happened? What was responsible for it becoming a disappointment? What would you do differently in hindsight? What will be your biggest disappointment if it isn't achieved in the next 6 to 12 months? What do you expect to achieve in your career? What do you expect to achieve in your personal life? So again, answer those questions. And I'm going to reread them. And I'm pausing because I see some questions coming in, and I want to make sure I share those. So again, here's the second part. Describe a significant disappointment in the past. What happened? What was responsible for it becoming a disappointment? What would you do differently in hindsight? What will be your biggest disappointment if it isn't achieved in the next 6 to 12 months? What do you expect to achieve in your career and your personal life? So take a time to answer those questions and process those questions. Here's the third reason for not identifying your dreams is settling. See, some people, they get in the habit of settling for average. I once read a quote that said, the minute you settle for less than you deserve, you get even less than you settled for. Man, that's powerful. So much so that I'm going to reread that to you. The minute you settle for less than you deserve, you get even less than you settled for. See, dreams require a person to stretch, to go beyond average. That's why it's a dream. It's something big, bigger than yourself. You can't reach for a dream and remain safely mediocre at the same time. Those two are incompatible. You know, I'm in the process right now. I just finished my going through a course to become a certified behavioral consultant. And in there, we're studying different behavioral graphs of personalities. And there's you have one person that if on their graph, they're a high D, dominant personality, and at the same time, a high C, a compliant personality. But that individual will constantly be in conflict with himself because they're driven, they're fast, they're slow paced, they want to analyze everything. They want to make a quick decision, then they need to think about it, and they start second guessing themselves. The two are not, they're like it's incompatible. They're in constant conflict. Well, that's the same thing when we begin to settle for average. You know, I see some of the questions coming in, and I see someone going, I never thought I could do something on my own without someone else helping me. And, the reality is sometimes we just settle and we don't step into our greatness, and we're okay with the average. And I want to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone and know what's truly capable, what you're truly capable of. So you can't have this big dream and remain safely mediocre at the same time. It's like that high D, high C profile. It's incompatible. So when we're too uninspired to dream, when we settle for average, then we may be tempted to blame it on others or on our circumstance or the system. But the truth is that mediocrity is always a personal choice. Always a personal choice. If you have a copy of the book, Put Your Dream to the Test by John Maxwell, in the introduction, there's a great story. I don't have time to read it, by Dr. Bruce Lockerbie. And I will share this on the Coaching Cloud community. So make sure you click the link down there to join that community. But it's a great story where he writes about a study on mediocrity. So people who don't possess compelling dreams, they're in danger of having their lives just simply merely slip away. Their days can become mundane. They become like their days. Their day, nothing much happening. You know, Jim Rohn says, you better have something great planned for your life, because if you don't, you'll fall into someone else's plans. And guess what they've got planned for you? Not much. So you don't allow settling to stop you from identifying your dream and what you want to accomplish and stepping into your greatness. If you feel like your life is closer to average than you desire, then you need to do more dreaming. Nothing helps break someone out of a rut like a worthwhile dream. You should have a vision board where you see where you want to go. You can have a clear mental picture of what your perfect future looks like, what you want your business to look like, your career to look like, your personal life, your family life. You need to have a clear vision of that, and that will, if it's compelling enough, it won't allow you to settle. And then the fourth reason that people settle for not identify, or fourth reason why they don't identify their dream, is simply a lack of confidence. Now, before I go into lack of confidence, I want to go over the questions for settling. So I want you to think of this. How do you see, in what areas in your life have you seen you settle? And by settling, what did it deny you? So what was denied by you settling at a period of time in your life? And what areas are you settling for average right now today? What areas are you saying, I'm average in this area, I'm settling, and I could do more, I could accomplish more, I could move at a faster pace towards my dream, I could have a bigger dream, I'm settling right now, I'm playing small, I'm not playing big. So what areas are you settling right now? And again, if you feel comfortable sharing it, I'd love for you to share it. I'm not going to say names of people that are sharing questions or thoughts or ideas in this. So any of these questions you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love for you to use the question box and submit them. What area are you settling today for average? And what's it going to deny your future self by settling? So the fourth area is lack of confidence. And some people simply lack confidence needed to pursue their dreams. It takes confidence to talk about a dream and even more to pursue it. And sometimes confidence separates the people who dream and pursue those dreams from those who don't. There was a study done at the University of Wisconsin, and they discovered that self-confidence is vital to success. And in a study of children, they found lower self-worth translated into 37% less willingness to negotiate and the use of 11% fewer negotiation strategies with others. They also discovered that the greater a child's self-worth, the greater willingness to incur the risk of prolonged negotiation and the greater adaptability. So in other words, the more confidence you have in yourself, the less likely you are to give up on trying to get what you want. If you have a big dream, you're going to need confidence because you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have challenges. Life is real, and we all face those challenges. Dreams are fragile, and they're at the greatest risk when they're new to you, when people you love and respect don't approve of them, when you have no past record of success to give you confidence. You don't have a proven track record. But confidence based on reality is necessary to strive for your dream. So how do you gain that confidence? Well, through self-knowledge. Real confidence comes from knowing and accepting yourself, your strengths, and your limitations, in contrast to depending on the affirmation from others or from the outside. That's why I think this mastermind is such a powerful mastermind, because Put Your Dream to the Test can help you. Answering the questions positively gives you more confidence to pursue your dreams. And then I'm going to give you an extra reason why I think, so those are the 4 common reasons. And I want to give you one more reason why I think people don't identify their dreams, is they just simply lack the imagination to dream. Well, how do you discover your dream? But you do it by dreaming. And that sounds like too simplistic, but we complicate things way too much, far more than we need to. Keep it simple. This is where it starts. Imagination is the soil that brings a dream to life. Albert Einstein was a dreamer and a thinker, and he understood that. And he said, when I examine myself and my methods of thought, I come to the conclusion that the gift of fantasy has meant more to me than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge. And he called that imagination a holy curiosity. So if you come from a discouraging background, or you don't think of yourself as an especially imaginative person, then don't lose hope. You can still discover and develop a dream. God has put that ability in each one of you. He's given all of us the ability to dream. And if you know and watch children at all, or you have children, you know that's true. Every child dreams. They all possess imagination. I think of my kids when they were growing up and what they were going to be when they grew up, and how creative they were, and when they played, and my son Noah always had costumes. He had he was a police officer. He's Indiana Jones. He was Walker, Texas Ranger, and I think of all the characters, and he had a bin full of costumes depending on who he wanted to be that day. Yet at some point we lose the ability to dream because we get discouraged. People closest to us say, "Well, I don't want to bust your bubble, but that probably isn't going to happen. I don't want to pull you out of the clouds, but I just want you to be in reality." And then we buy into that, and we get disappointed because we don't pursue that goal or dream, and we experience some failures, some obstacles, some challenges, and we get disappointed, and we're hurt from the past. And then we settle, and we go, well, that's just the way it is, and I guess I'm just not meant to do that, and that's just not for me, and then that hits our confidence, and we have a lack of confidence, and we just stop dreaming. So I want to challenge you to dream big. I had someone just share that lack of confidence due to just discouraging environment and settling to accept others' beliefs about myself and my worth. Man, isn't that so true? How often do we do that? That's where discouragement comes in. We allow others to project their belief of us on us. And then instead of believing what we're capable of becoming, we believe what others feel like we're capable of becoming. And then we settle. Man, that's a great thought. Thank you for sharing that. Someone else shared a great quote, and I'm going to say the name because this person, they're just sharing a quote. Chuck Hill shared, if you're not living up to your potential, you're not valid. And that carries a lot of credibility with that quote. I mean, that's very true. We've not even scraped the surface on what we're truly capable of accomplishing in our lives. Great stuff. Thank you guys for sharing. Now, John Maxwell did a survey, and he said 100% of executives, successful leaders, have a dream. But he said 95% were frustrated at times in the pursuit of their dream. 50% of people had given up on a dream. But then of the highly successful leaders, 100% had a dream, 95% of them accomplished a dream. Of the people frustrated in the pursuit of their dream, 50% eventually gave up on the pursuit of that dream. I want to encourage you to not give up on your dream. So as we kind of wrap this session up, I want to share with you what we're going to be talking about over the next 10 weeks. And this is it. The first is the dream test. The ownership question. The ownership question says, is my dream really a dream? Then you have the clarity question. So each week, we're going to break down each of these questions. The first is ownership. Is my dream really my dream, or is it someone else's? Then we have the clarity question. And the clarity question says, do I clearly see my dream? Then the third week, we're going to talk about the reality question. Am I depending on factors within my control to achieve my dream? And then the next week, the fourth week, we'll focus on the passion question. Does my dream compel me to follow it? Is it big enough? Am I passionate about it? Do I buy into it? And then we'll focus on the pathway question. Do I have a strategy to reach my dream? Ben Carson, if you watch the elections, and I'm not picking any candidate, I'm only using this as an example. He just stepped out of the race, and his comment was, I no longer see a pathway to the White House. Now, he could logistically see that, and that's why he stepped out. But in our world, when we have a dream and we answer the ownership question and we answer the clarity question and the reality question and the passion question, then we have to go, what's my pathway to get there? How do I implement strategic action steps to make sure I'm on the right path to make that dream become a reality? Then you have the people question. Have I included the people I need to realize my dream, or the right people in my world to help me make it become a reality? Then you have the cost question. Am I willing to pay the price for my dream? This is a big one. Am I willing to pay the cost for my dream? You can't have success or significance without a cost. There's always some type of price attached to it. So are you willing to pay the cost to accomplish your dream, to make it a reality? Then you have the tenacity question. Am I moving closer to my dream? Even though I have the obstacles, even though I have the challenges pop up, am I moving towards it? Am I still moving forward? Then you have the fulfillment question. And that says, does working towards my dream bring me satisfaction? Am I fulfilled by accomplishing this dream? And then the 10th week, we're going to cover the significance question. Does my dream benefit others? Does my dream benefit others? So I heard this great song the other day, and I'm going to see if I can find the right song for you. And he had a great quote at the end of the song, and it's called "Always Be Humble and Kind." And at the end, here's what he says. So the significance, this plays into the significance question. The significance question says, does my dream benefit others? And at the end of the song, he's talking about whenever you get where you're going, always remember to be humble and kind. And he says, don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget to turn back around and help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. Does your dream bring you significance? Are you helping others get to where they want by you accomplishing your dream? Do you have a personal mission statement? You know, my personal mission statement in life is to master my life, my relationships, and my career to such a degree that I can't help but to empower those around me and attract those who seek the same. Does your dream give you significance? Is it helping you to bring others with you, to take others up with you? I want to close with this quote. It says, always remember, there are only two kinds of people in this world, the realists and the dreamers. The realists know where they're going. The dreamers have already been there. And Chuck Hill said, settling undermines your soul. And I agree 100%. So what do we do from here? How can you be a part of this mastermind? If you are it should pop up here on the screen for you in just 1 second. But if you would like to attend the webinar, there's a button that just came up and it says click here to register. You can click there to register for the webinar. There is a cost involved unless you are a KDK agent. If you're a KDK associate, there's no cost for you to attend this webinar. And if you want to register for it, don't use the link I just sent out. I will send you an actual link to the webinar where there's no cost involved. If you'd like to attend the webinar and you're in a different organization, it's $397. It's a 10-week mastermind. It's going to be interactive, lots of exercises that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be focusing on those 10 questions. Each week we'll focus on one area so that you come out of this in 10 weeks where you have clarity to where you're going and why you're going there, and that's going to increase your passion. You're going to have strategy so you'll know that there's a pathway for you to make your dream become a reality. You're going to start to identify, how do I get the right people in my world? It's going to be a fantastic 10 weeks where you come out of this with clarity to where you're going and why you're going there and how you're going to get there. So I hope that you join us for this 10-week webinar. Click the button there to register. Thank you all for sharing. Again, remember, if you're a KDK associate, there is no cost for you to attend this webinar, and I will send you out. If you click that link, it's going to ask you for money. So don't click that link. I will send all of our associates a separate link for them to register. Thank you for being on the webinar today. Before we close out, any questions, thoughts, comments, would love to hear. So if you want to use the question box before I wrap up, any thoughts, questions, or comments. And there's a slight delay, so I'm just going to pause a minute before I end this webinar to see if we have any that come in. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here. Have an awesome day.